Hey guys, welcome back to another video from the channel Learn from Basics. This is Joe here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a certain type of algorithm that allows us to find substrings. But before we do any of that, let's back up on what this video is about, what this series is about, and etc. Now, there are several parts to programming, and one of the biggest areas or subcategories in programming is competitive programming. Now, competitive programming are competitions, or I'd like to consider them as esports, where you get a certain amount of time to solve certain amount of problems that are related to programming. Now, you'll have to either make up or use pre-existing algorithms and combine those algorithms in order to find solutions to a given problem. Now, these given problems have multiple scenarios or test cases, and if your program can pass all the test cases in the given time and memory limit, then you get all the points that are associated with that problem. And whoever gets the most problems or whoever gets the most points wins. Now, this series will be based on learning all the important algorithms to ace many competitive programming competitions, but most importantly, USACO. USACO is also known as the USA Computing Olympiad. It's the Olympiad that determines who goes to the IOI, who represents the United States in the IOI, or the International Olympiad of Informatics, which is basically also competitive programming. So, if you want to get into competitive programming and if you want to be good at it, then you'll have to learn some necessary algorithms, and you'll have to make up some new algorithms based on your knowledge with these pre-existing algorithms. So, in this series, we're going to learn all of those algorithms and solve some problems about those algorithms. But before we move on, I want to clarify one thing. Algorithms aren't as complicated as movies make them sound like. Algorithms, all they are a bunch of lines of code that basically are manufactured to complete a specific task in the most efficient way possible. So don't think that algorithms are something complicated. They're just some lines of code or a function that is designed to complete a task in the fastest time possible. So now that we have that out of the way, without any further ado, let's dive into today's topic, which is finding the substrings in a string. So hold up. Let's back up. What are substrings? Well, substrings are actually really easy. They're the little tiny strings that are present inside the bigger string. So, for example, let's say we have a string A, B, C, D, E, F. The substring in this string would be all the tinier characters or group of characters that are inside the string. So, for example, A is a substring. AB is a substring. ABC is a substring. Let's make that, or let's do it neater with a line, because a line is neater, I guess. So A, AB, ABC, ABCD, ABCDE, ABCDEF. And then again, you'd have a new line, and that new line of substrings would be B, BC, BCD, BCDE, BCDEF. And then we would start at C, CD, C, CD, CDE, CDEF, D, DE, DEF, E, EF, and finally F. So those are the substrings. They're basically all the patterns or sequences of strings that are present inside the main string. So now that we know what substrings are, how do we find them and what's the most efficient way to find them? Well, I like to think about finding substrings as using bubbles to find bigger strings. So again, let's take our test case or our sample test case, A, B, C, D, E, F. Let's make that bigger. And now one way you can find substrings, and I'm just going to add some space between each character so it's easier to look at. One way to find substrings in a string is to use a method I like to call the bubble method, where you basically have a bubble. You start off with a bubble, and it starts off at one character. And then it takes a screenshot of all the characters that are inside the bubble. So for example, at this moment, we have A in the bubble. So it's going to take a screenshot of A and it's going to store it somewhere. And after it takes the screenshot, the bubble expands. And now it takes a screenshot of all the letters inside again, A, B. And then it expands again. And then A, B, C. And then it expands again. And then we can say A, B, C, D. It expands again. A, B, C, D, E. B, C, D, E. And then finally the bubble expands again until it reaches the end. A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, after the bubble reaches the end, I like to think that the bubble deflates, or after the bubble reaches the end, the bubble becomes small again, and then the bubble moves over a spot. And now it's going to start at B, and then it takes a screenshot, and then it expands, BC, take a screenshot, expands again, BCD, take a screenshot, and so on and so forth. I hope that's clear because, I can't keep on doing that over and over again because that would take too long. But that's basically how substrings work, or how I want our algorithm to handle the task of finding these substrings. So now that we know how our algorithm is going to work, let's put our algorithm to work by writing some code, shall we? Now, how are we going to do that? Well, I'll tell you that we're going to use nested while loops in order to complete this task. Now, the first thing we're going to do is make a project in VS Code or whatever text editor of your preference. And I'm just pointing out that I'm using Python because Python is the easiest and not the fastest, but it's the easiest and most beginner-friendly program. But if you want to go higher in competitive programming, you will need to learn C++. But just to make the audience as broad as possible, I'm going to code in Python. And again, most competitive programming competitions do accept Python as one of their main languages. The other languages are Java and C++, and also Pascal, but the USACO removed Pascal last year. So yeah, good luck with that. So if you know Pascal, then you're out of luck. Now, the first thing we're going to do is let's take input from our strings. So let's just say main string, main str equal to input. And remember, if you want to continue with this video, you will need to know the basics of Python or whatever programming type you choose. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, now that we have our main string, the next thing we want to do is we want to start off by writing the loop that switches over to the next letter as soon as our program pops, or as soon as our bubble deflates, right? So we want it to switch. So after it's done with scanning all the way to the end with A, or inflating all the way to F, it has to move on to B, right? So in order to do that, what we can do is first of all, we're going to use a while loop, so we can say main equal to 0. And now what we can do is we can say while main less than len of main string, str. Now I'll explain what that means. But before we do that, let's increment main, because as you guys know, you always have to increment this variable whenever you're in a while loop, or else it becomes an infinite loop, and nobody wants an infinite loop. So what we can do now is, so here's how it works. For example, main starts off with 0, right? So it's going to start off over here. And then another loop that we're going to write inside here is going to expand our bubble and take screenshots all the way to the end. And then after we do that, what's going to happen is main is going to increment by 1 over here. Main plus equal to 1, or it's going to add 1 to whatever value is it. So basically what another longer way to write this would be main equal to main plus 1. So I'm just going to put that down for simplicity stakes, but both of them are the same. And then the next thing we would want to do is, as you can see, whenever it increments, it's going to go on to the next one, and it's going to inflate with our inner loop, and then it's going to go, when it's done, it's going to go to the next one, so on and so forth. Now, the reason we put less than and not less than or equal to over here is because whenever, so one thing that you have to know is that a string is just like an array or a list. Each character in the string is assigned with an index. So A is 0, B is 1, C is D. C is 2, not D. D is 3, E is 4, F is 5. Now, it is important to note that just like a string, just like a list, our indexes started with a 0. But whenever we ask for the length of a certain string, it gives us how many characters there are, not the last index, so it's going to be 6. So do you see how the index of our highest character and the length is just like apart by 1? So that's why we're going to use less than, so we can go all the way to the end. Now that we have that out of the way, let's write our inner loop. Let's write our inner for loop or inner while loop that's going to inflate our bubble each time and take a screenshot. Now this is also easy. All you need to do in order to accomplish this is, first of all, write a variable. Let's say inner, and again, we want to start this off at 0 because every time we want our bubble to take screenshots starting with the letter itself. So we want it to start at 0 or take the screenshot of the letter itself and then expand. Because if we made inner 1, or if we started our inner for loop from 1, our bubble would spawn like this. So it wouldn't spawn like this. Instead, it would spawn like this, and we don't want that. So we're going to say inner equal to 0. And then we're going to say while, and then this is the tricky part. Main plus inner less than less than or equal to len of main str. Now I'll explain this, and I'll also explain why we use less than or equal to over here. So, per se, I'm starting off at A, right? Let's, again, move on to the new slide. So, it's easier for us. A, B, C, D, E, F. Make that bigger. And then the next thing we are going to do is, let's write down our variables. In this case, main. In this case, 0. Main is 0. Inner is 0 as it starts off. So whenever our program is like this, our bubble is going to spawn over here. Because main is where our bubble is going to start. So main is where our bubble is going to start. So the index where our bubble is going to start. And inner shows how many times our bubble expanded. Not where it's going to end, but how many times our bubble expanded. So how many times from our starting point, how many indexes away is our ending point from our starting point? So in this case, since our ending point is 0 indexes away from our starting point, that must mean that our starting point is our ending point. Now we take the screenshot, right? Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to expand one more time. Now what's going to happen is our inner is going to become 1 because it expanded one time. Now to find the ending point of our bubble, we have to find so our ending point is basically our starting point plus how many times our bubble expanded, right? So main plus inner gives us our ending point. So that, I hope that justifies why I put main plus inner. Now why did I put less than or equal to len of string? So we know that len of this string is 6, right? Because it contains 6 characters. Now whenever we expand, so let's play this out. So our inner is 1 right now, then our inner becomes 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you see how as we get to the end of the list, our inner plus our main, or 6 plus 0, is directly equal but not less than to our length? So that's why I used less than or equal to, because as we get to the last point, or the last point, or our highest point that our bubble is going to expand, our main plus inner is going to be equal to the length of the main string. That's why we did that. Now that we have the 2 while loops that are, responsible for expanding our bubble, let's take the screenshot. Again, this is some Python syntax. I will write the code and then I'll explain it to you because it's easier that way. So first of all, we're going to say temp substring equal to main string of, pay attention, main to main plus inner. Now, what does this do, you may ask? Well, you might have noticed that what we're giving over here, our starting point, or our starting index, to our ending index. And what this syntax basically does is, it's a cropping syntax, if you may. So what you're going to do is you're going to give the name of the variable, or the string, to the starting point of where you want to crop, where you want to start cropping, and the ending of where you want to stop cropping, and then it's basically going to return that cropped string. So for example, since our main string's name is main str, if we're gonna say main str, and let's say our starting is 1. So basically our starting is 1. So the cropping mechanism would start at B, and our ending is 5. 5, right? Yeah, so it would end at over here. So it would basically crop all of this, so it would return us B, C, D, E, F, and it would return that, so it would crop out 8. And if we were to say our ending is 4 instead of 5, then it would say B, C, D, E, and that it would return that. So it's basically the screenshotting, but the program is doing that for us, so we don't have to do this. So yay. Now, as you can see, that's what we're gonna do. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna append, or we're gonna add this to the list of all the substrings that we have. Speaking of which, we don't have a list to store all of our substrings, so let's just say substring list equal to a list, and then we can say substring list dot append temp substring. Now that we have that out of the way, last thing we're gonna do, and this is just for an aesthetic or a neater look, I guess, we're just gonna make sure that all of our substrings print out in a line-to-line format instead of a list format. So we can simply say for substring in substring list. So we're basically looping through every object in the substring list, and we're gonna print that out. Substring, print the substring. And now, for the fun part, let's say A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Or wait, I forgot. Oops. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F. And then if we enter, there's a problem. Can you guys find out the problem? I'm going to give you guys pause the video to try to find out the problem. And if you can't, come back. But see, the problem over here is that we are not incrementing the inner or the variable in this for loop or in this while loop. And you all remember that if we don't increment the variable in the while loop, our while loop is going to go forever. And I've done this so many times, it's not even funny, but it's fine. Now that we had that out of the way, it should work. So, A, B, C, D, E, F, there's still a problem. Now, what I think is happening is, I honestly just, so let's see what's wrong, right? Main equal to main plus 1. Okay, so what I think is, I don't think we ran the pipe. A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so our program is not working somewhere. Now, where is that? We're saying main equal to main plus 1. You know what? Let's just try doing... Oh, I think we forgot to do... Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new terminal, run our Python program there, and now it should work. A, B, C, D, E, F. There. I just think that we didn't save the program, that's why it wasn't working. But yeah, the only reason it wasn't working is because we didn't increment it. And I think the reason that in our previous tries it didn't work is because I forgot to save the program. That's fine. Now, as you can see, our program worked exactly as we wanted. It starts off in A, B, ABC, ABCDE, ABCDEF, and then B, BC, BCD, BCDE, BCDEF, C, CD, CDE, CDEF, D, DE, DEF, E, EF, and finally F. So that's how you find out all the substrings from a string, guys. And I hope that you guys liked this video and learned something new. And remember, the only part that you have to remember from this whole program is the while loop. So in fact, let's just make this into a function, shall we? Say def find substring equal to, and then we need, we need the list of the strings, so let's just say str. And then over here, what we can do is we just have to copy all of that. And let's make this temp substring list, and return the temp substring list. And then all we have to do over here is say substring equal to find substring of main str. And again, if we run our program, it should work. So A, B, C, D, E, F. Oh yeah, of course. Oops, we forgot to put the main over here. Yeah, so that was a silly mistake. But let's try that again. A, B, C, D, E, F. And now as you can see, our program works, and you can check the answer. It is correct. Now, I hope you guys learned something new. Again, all you have to do is learn the code inside this function. That's the important code. We will be doing some problem or USACO problem-based questions in our next video based on finding the substrings. But I hope you guys learned something new. If you did like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you know whenever new videos launch out. And again, if you have any questions, drop them down in the description. And if you have any comments on how to make this series better, then also please drop them down in the description. In the comment section. All useful links will be in the description. Again, I hope you guys liked this video and learned something new. That's all for this one. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.